Hey guys, it's Kelly. So today I'm going to be showing you my top 15 books of 2015. 2015 is wrapping to a close. That's actually insane. I think I read close to 80 books and I still have a couple days left to go. So that's pretty great. I think I'll be doing a 2015 wrap up of some sorts. But today I'm going to be showing you my top books that I've read in 2015. I read a lot of great books, so it was kind of hard for me to narrow it down, especially like my top 5. So I have 15 books that are probably my most favorite or that had the most impact on me in this past year. So let's get started. Now, I'd like to also add that even though I read these books in 2015, most of them, or basically all of them, weren't released in 2015, so just so you know. So we're going to do this in a countdown order, so starting with number 15, I have Stolen by Lucy Christopher. Stolen is basically a book about this girl who gets kidnapped, and the whole book is written in second person, so it's like a letter to her kidnapper. I found this really interesting and really unique. It's completely different from books that I've read, so I really enjoyed it. It was really good. The next book at number 14 is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the final installment in the Grisha trilogy. I read the Grisha trilogy in these past couple of years. They were okay. They weren't my favorite trilogy that I've ever read, but I happen to really love the Grisha trilogy. I just completely fell in love with the Grisha world in this last book, which is kind of upsetting because it is the last book in the series or trilogy. The Grisha trilogy, they follow these Grisha who practice this thing called the small science, where they have control of the elements. It's really cool. It's sort of high fantasy. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, this last book was phenomenal. It just wrapped up everything in a nice little bow, and it was very heartwarming and touching. Next, coming in at number 13 is Ouran High School Host Club Volume 5 by Bisco Hattori. Manga and anime is something that I've recently gotten into this past year. So Ouran is one of my absolute favorites, at least so far, but I think it'll always be one of my favorites. I don't know why I particularly chose Volume 5. I can't remember because they all kind of blur together, but this is kind of just a tribute to all of the manga and anime that I've just completely been in love with this past year, and especially Ouran, because I love this series so deeply. Ouran, if you don't know and if you want to get into some sort of anime or manga, I'm not the best explainer, but I'll give you my best shot. Ouran follows a group of these filthy rich boys who go to this prep school for the wealthiest in all of Japan. I'm pretty sure it's Japan. One day, this student named Haruhi Fujioka enters Ouran on a scholarship. One day she runs into this music room thinking it's completely cleared out, but instead she meets the host club, and Haruhi does something by accident and she has to repay the host club by becoming a host. So the whole kind of series is her trying to repay her debt by getting into these antics with the host, and the host club is just full of this eclectic cast of unique characters. And I just love the host club so much. The series, like, is so great. I love it. Next, at number 12, I think I'm gonna lose track of these numbers, is Every Day by David Levithan. Every day is about this person named A, and every single day A changes bodies. I don't know how to describe, I don't know pronouns, but A inhabits a different body, like every single day. So every single day A takes on a different appearance, but internally A is still the same. This has worked out A's whole life. A's just kind of rolled with the punches. And that's until A meets this one girl named Rhiannon, and A kind of falls in love with her. This book is really touching. It really touches base upon the fact that you can fall in love with people and not necessarily genders. So I thought that was beautiful. I just love this book so much. Number 11, I think, that's Elusive by Emily Lloyd Jones. I had to put this book on my list just because it was a great, fun read. Elusive tells the story of this girl named Sierra, I think. Sierra has these special abilities that she got by this plague that happened across the country. Sierra can create illusions with her mind. So together with her and her group of sort of thieves, if you want to call them that, they're sort of criminals. They go on this sort of like heist to do things. I don't know, it's really cool. They use their abilities, just really cool. I really enjoyed this book. Next on my list is probably one of my most anticipated releases of the 2015, this past year, and that is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Sword of Summer, Book 1 in Rick Riordan's new Norse mythology trilogy series. This was such a great read. It was really fun. I really enjoyed meeting Magnus's character. He's a great guy. I'm excited to see what more of Uncle Rick's stuff in the series brings. Number 9 is a comic book, and that is Gotham Academy Volume 1, Welcome to Gotham Academy by Becky Cloonan, Brendan Fletcher, and Carl Kerschel. I recently discovered graphic novels this year too. That was one of my biggest kind of things, diving into graphic novels and comic books. I'm not the biggest superhero fan, but I am kind of interested in it because my dad's in love with it. This tells the story of a girl named Olive who, with the help of her friends, goes on this sort of hunt to discover what's going on in the mysterious Gotham Academy, because some weird things are happening. It was a really fun read, and the second one is being released in 2016, so I'm so excited for it. Coming in at number 8 is Let's Get Lost by Adi Asaid. This book was fantastic. I loved it. Let's Get Lost tells the story of, I think, 5 different characters, but one character that kind of joins their stories together. This one character, Leela or Lila, she's going on to this road trip to see the Northern Lights in Alaska, and along the way she meets these different people and she helps them overcome their difficulties while she's traveling to Alaska. So it includes her story intermingling with everyone else's story, and then you also see Leela's story in the end, and it kind of just wraps everything up so nicely. It talks a lot about the importance of seizing the day and taking chances and going for it. It was fantastic. I loved it. Next, at number 7, is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. It's hard to believe that I read this my sophomore year because I am halfway done with my junior year, and that's absolutely insane. If you don't know, The Catcher in the Rye follows our well-known character of Holden Caulfield as he discovers himself and as he grows up. I really like this book. I don't want to say too much about it just because it's better off that way, but it was really touching and I really felt a lot for Holden's character. This is a really great novel to read, so I highly suggest you pick it up. Next is a graphic novel. I have talked about this graphic novel quite a bunch, I think. That is Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. Nimona follows a story about this shapeshifter named Nimona who pairs up with this evil villain and becomes his sidekick. It was really good. I really liked it. I love the art style in this book too. Not to mention, the story went a lot deeper than you'd think it would, especially for a graphic novel. And that's one of the main things that I really enjoyed about this book. Now we are getting down to the nitty-gritty, right? Top 5. Coming in at number 5, I have Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. It's better off that you just dive into this book and just see what happens because it takes you to unexpected places. You learn unexpected things. It's just really touching in surprising ways. Coming in at number 4 is Falling Into Place by Amy Zhang. I adored this book. Falling Into Place definitely had an impact on me, and I don't exactly know why. It was just really touching and it made me feel so many emotions. Not to mention, I adore Amy Zhang's unorthodox, unconventional way of writing. Falling Into Place follows this girl named Liz Emerson. Liz Emerson is having a lot of anxiety and depression, and she's been struggling with this for pretty much her entire life. So one day she decides she's going to plan her suicide. One day she just starts driving and she swerves off the cliff, completely planned, but the sad thing is for Liz is that she survives her suicide attempt. The rest of the story consists of flashbacks to Liz's life and to exactly the pivotal moments where Liz felt rock bottom. Not to mention all of the times where her friends could relate to Liz and where their friends felt that Liz touched them personally. It was just a really good read. I don't know. It was fantastic. I love the way it was written. It was so good. Next, at number 3 is Winger by Andrew Smith. Winger was a book that I read in the very beginning of 2015. Winger follows the story of this boy named Ryan Dean, and he's a genius. So he skipped a few grades. So while everyone else is like 16, 17, he's still 14. That doesn't work out in Ryan Dean's favor because he is fallen in love with this girl, but this girl only sees him as a friend slash little brother figure. Simultaneously, Ryan Dean is also on the rugby team because you have to play sport in order to go to the school. It's just one of the requirements of a weird boarding school, I don't know. So Ryan Dean plays rugby, and he happens to be on the wing, but he's kind of scrawny, so his nickname is Winger. And it also talks about like the friendship that Ryan Dean makes. It's just really touching. There are also like little like comic books that Andrew Smith puts in there. It was really good. I really liked it. It's funny, witty, but it's also at the same time really touching and really profound at some points. And number 2 is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. This book, I'm pretty sure, came out this year. Every Last Word follows this girl named Samantha. Samantha has OCD, but she's kept this OCD issue from her best friends for her entire life because she's afraid if she admits to having some sort of disease, then her friends will kind of make fun of her and stop being her friend. She feels more and more distance from her friends. So one day she meets this other girl named Elizabeth, I think her name is, and Elizabeth introduces her to the world of poetry. There, in this poetry club, Samantha rediscovers herself. I love this book a lot. It was really good. You should read it. And number 1 on my list is a book that I haven't stopped talking about since I read it, and I read it in the beginning, 2015, so basically I've talked about it this whole year. That book is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I'll Give You the Sun follows these twins named Jude and Noah. They used to be really close when they were younger, but something tragic happens that sort of tears them apart. This book follows Jude and Noah as they discover family secrets, they discover themselves, and they discover what it means to be a family and to love. It happens in alternating points of view between Jude and Noah, and there's a 3-year difference in between their points of view. Noah tells a story when they're 13, and Jude tells a story when they're 16. So together their story kind of makes this one gigantic puzzle that it's a mystery finding out, and it's fantastic trying to put these pieces together to make the picture as a whole. This book was very profound, thoughtful, and definitely unique in writing style. It was beautiful and had a fantastic ending. So those are all of the books that I thought were at the top of my list in the year 2015. Anyway, thank you guys for a great year, and I'll see you in the new year, or whenever my next video will be. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!